GCN Radio Network.
We are live now, 8 minutes into the second hour on this 25th day of February 2010. It is Thursday. The websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPundit.com. For the rest of the hour, we are joined by attorney Philip J. Berg, a former Deputy Attorney General of Pennsylvania, former candidate for governor of the U.S. Senate in Democratic primaries, former chair of the Democratic Party in Montgomery County, former member of the Democratic State Committee, and attorney with offices in Montgomery County, PA, and an active practice in Philadelphia, PA. Phil is a paid life member of the NAACP and voluntary fire police for 27 years. His website is obamacrimes.com. And we've had Jerome Corsi on about this day one, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now. But the first person to really research this, because he was concerned about it back when it was in the Democratic primaries, I guess almost 2 years ago, or 2 years ago, yeah, almost 2 years ago, was Phil Berg. And he just asked the question. I mean, we know this guy's name was Barry Soetoro. We know he lived in foreign countries. We know he went to madrasas. We're not saying that's a bad thing to go to madrasas. The point is, the media would say it's a wild conspiracy theory. His name wasn't Barry Soetoro. Then they sealed all his records. No, his name was Barry Soetoro. That's now admitted. The point is they're lying about things that are admitted. Then we got a certificate of a birth certificate. But more and more, and this is what I've always focused on, it's the fake names. And it's being adopted in Indonesia because there's only a few countries like England and Israel and a few others where you can have dual citizenship and still be allowed to be a U.S. citizen, much less the president. And now Glenn Beck is attacking Berg every week. And again, I'm tired of going after Glenn Beck. It's just he was in the news saying global warming was real in USA Today Sunday on the weekend edition. I've seen him put Phil Berg next to Van Jones and then next to Deborah Medina and say all these people are bad. I mean, just incredible behavior. So that tells me they're desperate if now mainline talk show hosts, not just Beck, but other big Republicans, are attacking Phil Berg. In my experience, Phil Berg is somebody who wants the truth. Yes, he called for an investigation of 9/11 and the deadly dust, just like 6 of the 10 commissioner members did. So he gets demonized for that. And they say, oh, well, he was supporting Hillary's why he did this. This is Beck. No, he did this because he was concerned with the Democratic Party. He's a Democrat. And I now, from the preponderance of evidence, it's 60-40. It's leaning towards him really not being eligible. And then you get into the math of it. And I know there's big new developments, but I want Phil, for new listeners and people that aren't really understanding this and just seen the media's kind of deceptive boil down of what's happening and who birthers are, to talk to the father of the birther movement and you know, recap the history of this. But they are acting very, very suspicious now. They're getting desperate. Beck says 5% of conservatives are birthers. I've seen polls of 57% of registered Republicans questioning his birth. In fact, search engine that for folks for the TV audience. Majority of conservatives question Obama's birth certificate. And I've seen that headline everywhere. I mean, here's one, LA Times today. Arizona House panel approves bill requiring presidential candidates to show birth certificates. Nearly half of the Arizona legislature wants to force President Barack Obama to show his birth certificate to state officials if he runs for re-election. A state House committee on Tuesday approved the measure, sponsored 40 of the state's 90 legislatures. It would require the presidential candidates who want to appear on the ballot in Arizona to submit documents proving that they meet the requirements to be president. And it goes on, bill requiring citizenship proof for president contenders passes House committee. And it passed in a 6-1 vote. So 6-1. So it's a deception to say 5% of America are truthers and 5% are birthers. And to say birthers are dangerous, bad people. That's a Glenn Beck quote. I mean, that's political suicide. I think that hurt him more and why he's lost 12% of his audience, according to Nielsen, in the last 3 weeks, than just demonizing and setting up Deborah Medina in Texas. I believe he lost a lot of his viewers over the birther issue. Now, I'm going to shut up. I've kind of laid some of the background and groundwork here Phil Berg wants to talk about the absolute proof that he is an Indonesian citizen. His name's Barry Sataro. So his name's even fake, folks. That's confirmed. The president has an alias. And it's one thing if you're a talk radio host and have an alias or a movie star or something. My name's really Alex Jones. But a lot of times when people do have aliases, I know some here locally, it's because they have criminal histories. Okay? And, again, his records are all sealed. To break it all down is attorney Phil Berg. Phil, thanks for being here with us.
Alex, a pleasure to be on with you again, and you have great listeners out there, and I think we're really getting to Obama. Significant for everyone, and first off, real quick, my background, lifelong Democrat, candidate for governor in the United States Senate in the Democratic primaries in Pennsylvania, and many others, which they can find out on my website, obamacrimes.com. Lifelong Democrat, and also then they throw at me I'm a racist. Well, I happen to be a pay-to-play member of the NAACP, so I'm not a racist. I just believe we should have, equal rights in this country. The rights given to us through our Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. And what we have here is, real quick, is everyone knows that Arnold Schwarzenegger, people have talked to him about him running for president for the last 10 or 15 years, and he constantly says, then amend the Constitution, because he admits he's from Austria, and he admits he doesn't fulfill the requirements. The requirements for president under our U.S. Constitution are simple. Number one, you're 35 years of age. Number two, you lived in this country for 14 years. And number three, you be a natural-born citizen. Arnold Schwarzenegger acknowledges he's not. Obama doesn't say anything directly, but by not saying it, he's walking all over the Constitution. He's saying, I don't care about the Constitution. As Alex, you just said, all his records are sealed. We really know nothing about this individual. It's really outrageous that here we are 13 months after he's sworn into office that we still don't know anything. But this is significant, and I think we're making headway. I'll tell you why. First off, Nixon went down, everyone, not on the Watergate break-in. He went down on the cover-up. But we now have Obama in office 13 months, and it's a cover-up. Significant, I put out a press release 2 weeks ago calling for a birth certificate march on Washington. We don't have the date yet. As soon as we set the date, we'll have it on our website. Now I'll call you so we can talk about it on air. But significant was the next day was the National Prayer Breakfast in Washington, D.C. And at the end of the breakfast, Obama spoke, and he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but the exact words are on my website. At the end of it, he said, no one should question my faith. And then he paused, and he said, or my citizenship. I really think we're cracking. I think we're really getting to Obama or the people around him, because many times, and I'm sure I said on your show before, but I'll reiterate, when all is said and done, Barack Obama, actually his real name is Barry Soetoro, we'll go into that, Michelle Obama, Howard Dean, the former head of the Democratic National Committee, other officials at the Democratic National Committee, senior campaign officials, and now senior administration officials who know that he's a phony and a fraud should be brought into our criminal justice system and should be tried. Those convicted should go to jail. And Obama should go to jail, and also he should be deported. The reason I'm mentioning that is, and I'm going to be putting out a press release shortly on this. I drafted it months ago, but the timing's right. What we need is a deep throat. We need the deep throat regarding Obama, because that's what broke it with the Watergate. And I think it's going to happen because we're now, with him saying, don't question my citizenship, and Glenn Beck now going to town. I don't know about this week. Last week, I know he spoke about me 3 days. He had my picture up on his blackboard. I tried to confront him I couldn't get to him this past Saturday. I was in Washington, D.C. at the CPAC convention, 210, which is basically all the conservatives in the country. He was a keynote speaker at the end, but I couldn't get to him. I gave something to one of his days. I'm sure he won't respond. I challenge him on your show right here. I challenge Glenn Beck to a debate anytime.
Well, Dummy, did you see the video where he pointed at you and said, these people hate America?
No, I haven't seen that. I have to see that because I want to see what he's saying, because what he's doing is he's on the verge of bringing out the crazies to come after me. And I have always called for one thing. He called me an obstructionist, I know. I have always called for a peaceful revolution. I don't want anything to happen to Obama. I don't want to turn him into a martyr. There's some other people out there are talking about different things. I want a peaceful revolution. Our march in Washington is going to be peaceful.
Notice Beck keeps saying, that's what he does. He puts your picture up and Van Jones and then points in your direction and says, these people hate America, these birthers, these truthers, they want to hurt you, President. They don't let them be in your administration. They'll kill you. No, he said that.